Bloom News Brief. More info at fullandbloom.com. Guitar World magazine recently published an interview with White Lion's Vito Bratta, where the guitarist talked about a couple of near-miss auditions from back in the day. To read more from the interview, click the links in the description. On getting the call to audition for Ozzy Osbourne's band, Bratta said, "I don't want to make it that big of a deal, but around the time Brad Gillis was in Ozzy's band, they were coming to New York to play some shows. And before I was in White Lion, I was in a cover band that did around an hour of Black Sabbath stuff. We never did the Randy Rhoads stuff, just Sabbath. Somebody sent a cassette of me doing the Sabbath stuff to Ozzy's people. And then, if I remember right, it was probably Sharon Osbourne, but I can't be 100% sure, called me saying, 'Hey, we like your tape and we want you to come down to the Ritz to play.' When they asked me to play, my first instinct was, I have a gig tonight. But then I thought, wait, what are you worrying about playing in a cover band for? Here's your chance to play with Ozzy." So I told her, "Sure, I can come down. What songs do you want me to play?" So she tells me, "Do you know anything from Ozzy's 2 solo albums?" I told her, "No, I don't know anything. I loved Randy, but my cover band only played Sabbath stuff." The truth was that I did love Randy's stuff, but I didn't have time to sit at home and learn it. I think she said, "Really? Don't you know any of it? What are we even talking about here?" She started to get mad at me and seemed confused. So I just said, "Look, I'm in a Sabbath cover band. We do an hour of Sabbath." By this point, her voice was getting higher and higher. So I just said, "Look, I don't know Ozzy's first 2 albums. Maybe this isn't a good idea." And then I told her, "You want me to come down there soon, but I'm telling you, I don't know this stuff yet. How long do you think it's going to take me to learn the first 2 albums?" And she said, "How long do you need?" I told her, "Give me a week and I'll be ready to come." And then she says, "Okay, maybe you're right. It's not a good idea." And she hangs up and I bang the phone down. I remember being frustrated. I felt like, fuck, this was the shot. But what killed me was the next album was Speak of the Devil, which was all Sabbath stuff. And then they were playing that on tour. That's probably why they wanted me. But I didn't know that. The funniest thing about it was that only a few years later, there I was, standing next to Sharon backstage while White Lion was on tour with Ozzy. We never spoke about it, but I think she knew. I've had a few instances that I look back on and make me wonder. Ozzy was tough because I felt like that was my shot. They actually called me and wanted me to audition, and I had the upper hand. I think I would have got it because I had the chops, the dark hair, and the sound they were looking for. On being considered to replace Ace Frehley and KISS, Bratta said, "My cover band had 2 guitar players. There was another guy named Ace, and me. He had the Ace Frehley hair and did the whole pentatonic thing. He was nothing like me, but he did go out to California to audition when Ace Frehley left KISS. And they must have liked him because when he came back to New York, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons showed up at the club we were playing to see him live. So I knew they were there, and I just did my thing, which included walking out and doing a half-an-hour guitar solo right in front of their faces. Long story short, I stole the show. I get off stage and Paul and Gene want to talk to me. They think I'd be perfect for KISS, probably because I was doing all this modern stuff that they'd been missing. I was doing the tapping and all that, which they liked. So they said, "Hey, we like you. We think you'd be perfect for KISS. Would you consider playing a Les Paul?" When they asked me about playing a Les Paul, I immediately knew I wasn't into it. I just couldn't picture it. But I was maybe willing to go along with it because I had started with a Les Paul. And then, after asking me my name, they said, "Your name is too ethnic. Would you consider changing it?" And I just said, "Would you ever consider fucking yourself?" I was not going to change my name. I mean, seriously, Gene Simmons is an ethnic? Come on. Years later, we went on tour with KISS, and this time, I knew that Gene remembered the whole thing. I know that because while on tour with KISS, we rolled in to play the Meadowlands, a hometown show. And when we got there, we were told, "You guys have the night off. We're getting Ted Nugent to open." We were like, "Ted Nugent? Really? This wasn't 1978. It was the heart of the MTV era. And this wasn't a Wango Tango crowd, so it made no sense." I always suspected Gene had something to do with it because he could do that. And I think he would do that. More news at fullandbloom.com.